AWS has entered the AI space, and a lot of people have said that they've been playing catch up for a while, but they have entered the space and they're essentially allowing you on AWS to generate what they're calling enterprise ready AI apps from just a prompt. So they have an AI model, you put a prompt in, and it's able to essentially write you all of the code. Now, I personally think this is interesting. I have a lot of thoughts and opinions on this because I'm working on a business in a similar space, AI Box, which is a no code version of this, sort of. Essentially, it's more like using Zapier and APIs to all the AI models to link them together. You put in your own prompts and you can build really customized apps that essentially automate your workflow. Now, the way that AWS is approaching this, and this is more specifically for developers, is that essentially you put in a prompt, you kind of chat with this thing, and it's going to build a tool, but it's going to build it with essentially code. So if you want to edit this thing, you need to be a developer. Obviously, this is not a no-code solution, even though you can build this with no code. So I want to talk a little bit about what's going on here and why I think this is actually going to make a really big impact in this space kind of moving forward. So there's a bunch of articles on this. TechCrunch kind of covered this as well. And they did talk about the fact there was an earlier TechCrunch article that I found. It says Amazon finds itself in the unusual position of playing catch up in AI. This is back in December. They were saying this. So people have kind of been criticizing Amazon and AWS for a while with this. Now, when it specifically comes to their new tool, this is App Studio. So if you go over to their website, aws.amazon.com/app-studio, you'll see they kind of cover exactly what it is. It says this is a generative AI powered service that uses natural language to build enterprise grade applications. I really want this to work. I'm going to say that. Like, I really am bullish. I think this could be really cool. It says save up to 80% versus comparable offerings. I mean, that claim is sort of opaque. I mean, regardless, I think this can work. I think this is cool. It can do claims processing. They say it's good for inventory management, for project approval, for audits, for metrics and reporting. There's some really interesting use cases. They have some documentation and kind of a blog all about it. So if you're a developer, I highly recommend checking this thing out because I think this is going to be really, this could be big for developers making code, speeding things up. And I'm always looking for the things to speed up code because I have a development team over at AI Box, and we are working like maniacs to get our product launched, and anything that speeds it up is exciting for us. But I will say there is a lot of hype and big promises, specifically in the coding realm. So all of our developers use AI tools, ChatGPT and Anthropic, to help them with stuff, but we haven't found anything that really writes it all for us. And then when you're trying to architect things, it's obviously not going to work when you're kind of doing that. So I think there's a lot of exciting things. This is what Sri Devank, who's the general manager of Amazon Q Apps and AWS App Studio, said recently. App Studio is for technical folks who have technical expertise but are not professional developers, and we're enabling them to build enterprise-grade apps. Okay, I want this to work. I really do, but just they're building this for technical folks who have technical expertise but are not professional developers. So you have to know code, but you're not a professional coder. So it seems like this is going to help junior level people because if you have technical expertise, you're probably on the career path. My assumption is towards becoming a professional developer. So it's going to help junior people be a little bit better. I don't know. Okay. But it's not like for no code people like myself. I'm not a technical founder. I don't know how to develop code. I couldn't use this tool, to be honest, because if it spits me out code, I don't know if it's good or bad or what to do with it after the fact. Right. So anyways, I think this is interesting. Amazon says that when they're talking about enterprise apps, this is things that have multiple UI pages and have the ability to pull from multiple data sources, which I think is really exciting. They say that these things can perform complex operations like joins and filters and embedded business, and they're essentially putting business logic into them. So all of this is exciting. There's a picture that is kind of posted on what this actual AWS App Studio looks like. If you're listening on Spotify, you can see that. But otherwise, there's two panels. One of them is a panel where you put it in your prompt. They have an example where someone said, I need an application for researchers to submit research proposals and supporting documents. On the submissions page, researchers should be able to see past submissions they made. Submissions should be available to approvers who will decide to approve or deny research proposals. When the status of a submission changes, the submitter should receive an email to notify them of the status. This is kind of cool. I'm not going to lie, because this is a very complex app. Like, it's sending them emails. It's doing a lot of stuff. my question is, can it do this? I want it to be able to do this, but like in my past experience using a lot of these AI tools, if you tell it like build something that can send out emails, it doesn't have the software capabilities to be able to do that. I don't know. Okay, so I want this thing to work, but it seems like there would be a lot of other tools and integrations that you'd have to have, and like APIs and like maybe backend and different stuff that this isn't able to just spit out the full code for. So skeptical, but really wanting this to work. And I'm channeling my skepticism from like most of the developers that I try to, I give them articles like this all the time. Like, guys, it can do everything for you. And they're like, no, it can kind of help us a little faster, but we're still doing everything. So that's kind of where I'm bringing this from. So I think overall, this is really exciting. One other thing that was said about all of this, was where App Studio is different is in the way we use generative AI to really reduce the learning curve. I'd say there's almost no learning curve. The typical no-code tools, you have to understand the paradigm, you have to understand the visual interface, you kind of have to really over time build some expertise. This is true because I mean, even with AI Box, what we're building, it's a no-code AI app builder, but you still like drag and drop on ChatGPT, you put your prompt in, you drag and drop on Anthropic, you put your prompt in, you can link them together so that they can grab things from each other's prompts and it can create great outputs and tools and stuff. But like, yeah, you do have to understand how to drag and drop and type your prompt in and connect things, right? So like there's some sort of learning to our platform and other platforms too. You could say Canva is a lot like this. Is a way smaller learning curve in my opinion than trying to use something like Photoshop when you're using Canva. And that's kind of where we aim to be with AI boxes. It's like Canva. It's very simple to use, but they have got a good point here. They're completely cutting that out by just making you do a prompt. What I've seen though, because OpenAI's GPT store has the same problem, they tried to make it really simple where you just have a prompt and you can create these GPTs. But the problem is they're like not super customizable. You can't link different AI models together. There's no like interface for like really customizing these things and doing multiple chain prompts and tools and stuff. And so it's like you sacrifice like usability for simplicity, which I'm all about simplicity. And I think this is a really big thing, but at some point it's too simple and it's not usable enough. It's not going to give you an output that you actually would use every single day. And so that's what I'm trying to build. And I know there's a fine line there. I think that AWS is going to get this right. I'm not like bagging on them and saying I'm like way better because obviously this is a big company with a ton of money. I think they're going to get this right. But I just think maybe right out of the gate, it might not be able to do everything that people want it to do. So I'm excited for this. I'll definitely keep you up to date. I'll have all my developers try this. So I'll be able to keep you up to date on how this actually works as I continue to roll it out. Overall though, I'm very bullish and excited on everything that I'm seeing in the space. And I hope that you all have an amazing rest of your day. If you enjoyed the episode today, if you could leave me a review, I would seriously appreciate it. Like and subscribe on YouTube. And I hope that you all have a great rest of your day.